Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody, to Talk Wrestling here on the Jeff Meacham Network, on the NoDQ.com YouTube channel, and the Greg Cherry brand. Thank you all for being here today. It is Monday. I don't know the date off the top of my head. The 14th, maybe? Yes. It is the 14th. September 14th, 2020. Again, thank you all for being here. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. I know a lot of you are waiting for or have already tuned into Monday Night Football. I love that you're here anyway. I appreciate it, baby. Sorry, I'm talking like Dusty. I just listened to 83 Weeks talking about Fall Brawl 94, and I watched the promo that Dusty cut to reunite with his son, Dustin, on a WCW TV show in July 94, and I am a little verklempt, I'll be honest with you, because it's a beautiful freaking promo. All right, so today is very simple. It is what it is, kids. It's Ask Me Anything. That's exactly what this is. So let me see if I can there's that. There we go. Hi, how are you? What you're seeing in front of you is kind of a new setup, kind of not. And the reason I say kind of not is because I rearranged things in here. You may notice it's a little bit darker than it was last week when I was on the various programs I was on. And it's because I set up, we had a partition at one point. We had a changing room style partition when Dylan still occupied this space with me when we had the bunk bed in full effect. And we let that be his gaming corner, which is over on that side of the room. Well, I decided that as long as I'm going to be here and occupy the space I'm occupying for now until we get the big move at the end of the year, hopefully, God help us, I wanted my own office space. So I partitioned off this corner of the room, moved the desk around, moved the computer around, so you get more of the logo behind me, more of a straight-on feel than you have in the previous few weeks I've been doing the simulcast. And I'm really starting to double down on the idea that the network is, in fact, a network. It's a production facility. We've got the wrestling shows. Tomorrow, we're debuting a brand new show that has nothing to do with professional wrestling. So stay tuned. If you missed the Greg Cherry show this morning, shame on you, first of all. Second of all, we'll be making that announcement formal here in just a quick sec. Not a quick sec, maybe toward the end. But anyway, we are going to start hammering out a lot of stuff in the coming weeks, months, and as we get into 2021. A lot of things on the horizon, a lot of good things that are going to be happening here on the Jeff Meacham Network and across where I'm broadcasting. I may or may not stay simulcasting. If you're watching No DQ, I love you for that. Same with Greg Cherry Brandon. We all thank you for that. But I'm thinking about scaling back come January 1st. Now, January 1st, of course, if you guys aren't aware, is the anniversary of the Jeff Meacham Network. It is exactly 1 year to the day that the network started. I did do a audio podcast on December 31st talking about New Year's Eve and what 2020 would bring, and god damn was I wrong. Holy balls. So awful. But I really get into the swing of things on January 1st. So that'll be a Friday. January 1st, I may even come on here before midnight Eastern and just stick with you guys throughout the ball dropping throughout the course of the country, at 12 o'clock every hour. So we'll see how it goes. I have no idea what I have no format really in place. I'm going to bring people on to say hello. I'm going to bring people on to do the damn thing, but we'll see how things play out. So that's what's coming up in the next few weeks and months as we head toward, with all prayer involved, a better year in 2021. So let me get to the first question I got, which actually came in over the Twitter, as Bully Ray would say. And it came from our buddy, Mr. Yuck, Chris. He said, Jeff Hardy recently mentioned he wishes for a Willow versus Fiend feud in WWE. Do you see such happening? Also, with Matt Hardy in AEW, might WWE push Jeff to the top just for the sake of competition, or let him go in the near future? And of course, he used the hashtag Ask Me Anything and tagged my my work Twitter, which I greatly appreciate, at JMeach Podcast. Again, I'm looking to change that. Keep that in mind. So there's that. I would like to see something with Jeff Hardy. And again, I've been very critical of Jeff. I've been very critical of his renewed push, much like it was critical of Rey Mysterio's push at the sake of Eddie Guerrero's memory. And they're different things. I understand that. But it's one of those things where I kind of allowed myself to check out on Jeff Hardy and just don't really give a shit anymore. So if they do something with him, that's fine. I would love to see Willow in WWE. We haven't seen that guy yet. And a thing with The Fiend may not be the worst thing for either party. The Fiend, as we saw at Payback, once again had a short with the Reign as Universal Champion, and then got sacrificed to the big dog, although Braun took the fall, obviously, so the Fiend was protected, whatever the fuck that means at this point. But yeah, I'd like to see Willow and Fiend. As far as Jeff being pushed for the sake of nailing Matt in AEW, I think, and again, this is my show, Talk Wrestling, my show, Jeff Meacham Network. There you go. My opinion is that we all in the IWC put way too much stock in the belief that WWE gives a fuck about AEW. I don't think they're going to push Jeff simply because Matt is in AEW. I don't think they're going to push Jeff other than the reason they want to push Jeff, because they see star value in Jeff Hardy. So there's and again, he signed a new deal today. It was announced today. He's talking about when they get a crowd back, he's going to bring back his No More Words song, which I absolutely love. So I hope for Jeff's sake, and I hope for his fans' sake, his hardcore Hardy marks, that he gets a renewed push and really does something. I really truly hope that. Brendan Crabtree says, thoughts on Bayley promo on SmackDown? Loved it. Love that they're going to go with her and Sasha. Pray to God, and whatever wrestling god you believe in, not JBL, that they hold off the actual execution of the match until WrestleMania. And I know people are going to say they won't do that, and you're probably right. They probably won't. But you know what? The glare on this is killing me, so I'm going to go without specs and do my best, because the glare is just bounced off the screen. It looks like absolute shit. I would like them to hold off to WrestleMania. Will they? No, they won't. They're going to hot shot the Hell in a Cell. They're going to have this feud. It has to be in the cell. It has to come to a definitive finish, which it does, but it deserves WrestleMania. I said this, I think, last week on WTC or sometime last week I said this, and I firmly stand behind it, that this feud is worthy of a WrestleMania main event, and it should be held off as such. Let's see. The status of WWE is depressing. AEW is doing it better. Your thoughts? Ernie, again, I don't dislike everything about WWE. I don't like everything about AEW. I like what I see in certain segments of each show. I am very much looking forward to tomorrow night on pay-per-view as the NWA and the United Wrestling Network present Primetime Live. That I'm looking forward to more than anything else this entire week. More so than the Cowboys' first game, because, well, they lost on Sunday. So that just bummed me the fuck out. I realize I'm swearing on Aaron's channel. I keep forgetting I'm on Aaron's channel. So sorry, Aaron. I'll curb the F words going forward. The Cowboys losing sucked, and I've been looking forward to NWA UWN show all week, or I guess since they announced it pretty much. I can't wait to see how they execute this show. I did pay for it 4 weeks in advance. For the next 4 weeks, I paid for all 4 shows. Looking forward to it tremendously. As far as AEW doing better, WWE, they're doing better in certain segments of the show. Certain segments, they're not. There's points in AEW that I'm like, so we all just need to realize that it's okay to like wrestling. Not, well, if you like this, you have to hate this. That's not how it works. True Markish 1 says, do you think WWE missed out by not doing Lashley versus Lesnar? Yep, I do. And I've said that before, multiple times. That was a money match, and they blew it. We lost a few. There we go. This is from Cape Rainer 23. He says, hey, Jeff, in your opinion, who was Bret Hart's best opponent? God, there's a lot of things to consider when you answer that question. I think Bret's best opponent in the course of his WWF run, because that was when he was at his best, let's be real and not give WCW too much credit because they don't deserve it when it comes to Bret Hart. I feel his best opponent, despite all the drama, despite all the backstage bullshit, was Shawn Michaels. They just fed off each other, good and bad. But his match with the 1, 2, 3 Kid was amazing on Raw back in '94. That was a great one-off. Let me be clear on that. His stuff with Kevin Nash, Diesel was great. His stuff with Davey Boy was great. His stuff with Perfect. Bret has so many quality opponents that it's hard to narrow down to just one, especially being a fan of 30 years like I am, which, by the way, next month is going to be fun because 18 years doing podcasting and 30 as a fan. Good shit, pal. Does TNA Wrestling give WWE pushback with Willow like Broken Matt? I don't know if featuring Broken Matt on WWE TV really gave Impact the rub. Like, I don't see that as being a thing. I don't think that happened. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that didn't happen that way. I haven't looked at Impact's ratings during the time that Matt became broken in WWE, so I don't know. I'd have to take a look at the ratings chart and get back to you on that. Manuel Belra, sorry for butchering your name, pal. The star of wrestling. Well, thank you. Do you think Cena will lose his last ever match and I quit? I don't. I think that Cena is already done. So take that for what it's worth. Brandon Dvorak. Hello. Hi. Thank you. Brandon Dvorak says, my dad's a big fan of the old WWF, and I love old school wrestling. And my dad, but boy, with some of those old WWF matches, yeah, they were sleepers, man. You have to be a fan, an old school fan, like your dad, honestly, like my dad. And you know what? To a certain extent, like me, you really have to be a fan to get into the stuff that was presented as sport rather than sports entertainment, if that makes any sense. It is apples and bananas. It's bananas. It's crazy. So I don't know why that showing is on. I don't want that on, but I'm going to make it not go away. Anyway, okay, there we go. Very good. All right. I've watched you since you were 20. You are the true trivia Well, again, I appreciate the trivia rub and the kudos. If you've watched since 20 years ago, then you were watching somebody before me, but I've been going for 18. I've been in front of the cameras for 16 years, but I do appreciate it. As far as being true trivia champion, Greg beat me straight up, and this Friday he defends again. So there you go. Let's see. Again, also Stone Cold Steve Austin. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. Austin was a great foil for Bret and vice versa. They worked very well together. Do you think, this is from D. Ross too, he says, do you think AEW should do an invasion with NWA since Thunder Rosa appeared? No, I don't. I don't mind a talent exchange at all, but I do mind some half-assed invasion bullshit. That will upset me if they try to pull that off. I think that's one. I'm not saying your idea because it's from you is a bad idea. I'm saying overall, if anybody showed that to me, that's a bad friggin' idea. That is danger zone. Nope. Stop. Re-fucking-wind. Sorry, Aaron. Rewind. Bad. No. Heavily advised against. Do not move forward to phase 2. Bad. Invasions don't work. They don't because there's always an agenda. Whether they mean to or not, they always perform some sort of agenda. So I firmly stand against the fact that they should happen. Oh, shoot. Excuse me. Ernie Eastman says, can you picture a dream match with Benoit versus AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan? Maybe if RVD made it feel forward. Your thoughts? Ernie, I invite you to go back. I think it was 2 weeks ago now, maybe even last week, on Meech's Musings. It was on Tuesday. It's on the network archives. And check out my dream card. I did book everybody you mentioned, except I don't think I booked Rob. No, I booked Rob. I booked all 4 of those guys you mentioned in matches on a super dream card that I booked here on the show. And it's currently being produced. in video game form. So stand by. Check it out, Ernie. About maybe a week or so ago. Check it out. Psychojet Black with the $2 super chat to Aaron. Thank you very much. Psychojet Black says, does Jeff Jarrett get too much hate from the fans? Yes. Yes, Jeff Jarrett does. No question about it. He is far too shat upon for what he has accomplished. Now, I will say that a lot of the hate comes from him booking himself into the top spots in TNA, and having the Russo rub in WCW did not help him whatsoever, because Russo is so shat upon that anybody painted with his brush is the devil, as Bobby Boucher's mom would say. Apparently this is Aaron. So hello, Aaron. Thank you for watching. Again, I don't know why the comments in the Jeff Meacham Network group chat don't show the display names. I don't know why that happens, but it does. So thank you, Aaron, for being here. I appreciate it. Let's see. Top 3 NWA champions in your opinion from True Marcus 1. Off the top of my head, Ric Flair, Harley Race, and we will go with my personal is Adam Pearce. Okay. But conventional wisdom would say Race, Flair, and Dory Funk Jr. Or maybe Jack Briscoe. One of those two at the third spot. Who, in your opinion, I don't understand what you're asking me, Manuel. Please rephrase the question. I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry. I don't. Manuel's question right here, if you can rephrase that or reword that so I can understand it, because my translation not so good. So there you go. So while we wait for that to happen, tomorrow, right here on the Championship Network, only on the Championship Network, so it won't be on Aaron's channel. It may be on Greg's channel. I haven't decided if Greg and I are going to co-promote that or not. But tomorrow, we're going to step into Stat Boy's sports bar. And what Stat Boy is going to cover is the week 1 of the NFL. I would love to see your guys' and hear your guys' opinions on week 1 of the NFL. If you're a football fan, stop on by. If you're not, I understand. That's fine. I'm fine with that. I'm trying to broaden the scope of the Jeff Meacham Network. So that'll be tomorrow at 6 Eastern. And then following the NWA pay-per-view, which starts at 8 Eastern, I will be right here with a live recap. So double dose of the JMN tomorrow. Love it. Although I was on Greg's show this morning, so you got double dose of me anyway. So the question was, who in your opinion is money? Adam Cole, Karrion Kross, or Johnny Gargano? I think if booked right, Undisputed Era, Adam Cole could be trend setting. I think all 3 of those guys are money personally. However, Johnny's made it more than clear that he doesn't want to go up to the main roster. And Kross is hurt. He just debuted recently. He's got to come back and get his title back. As far as Adam Cole, I am all about him being brought up as long as they don't dick him like I dick the other transitions, the other call-ups, if you will, because they've screwed up most of them up, and it's a crying friggin' shame that they've done that. Adam Cole is probably the most talented guy on the NXT roster right now, and I will die on that hill by saying that, but it's true. And if they call him up and screw up, that's a tragedy. Brandon says, my coworkers make fun of me for liking the Cowboys. Do you get hate? I mean, not in my house, because my dad's a Cowboys fan. Dylan likes the Patriots, which I don't understand why, because they're a bunch of cheaters. But I do get shit from my coworkers. Greg Cherry, for example. We have more rings. I know. Pittsburgh has more rings than Dallas. I know. And there's Packers fans who give me garbage. That's fine. It's... I see it as I like who I like. See, the difference is I've liked the Dallas Cowboys since the Cowboys back in the early 90s, maybe the late 80s. I can't remember exactly what year it was. I was a little boy. Drafted a guy out of UCLA named Troy Aikman. And I, being a SoCal boy, loved UCLA football. And I loved Troy Aikman when he played for UCLA. So I was happy that one of our boys was going to America's team. So there you go. That's why. I'm a Cowboys fan through and through. I didn't jump ship, when they started winning rings all over the place in the 90s. I love the Cowboys through and through. Psychojet Black, God. Will WWE turn Adam Cole and Michael Cole's nephew? No, I don't think that they think we're that stupid. Although, Vince is going crazy apparently, so who knows? Ken says, I agree with JM. Cole made Pat McAfee, easy for me to say, look like $1 million. He's very talented. He is, very much so. Adrian says, if and when Lars Sullivan returns to the main roster, who should he feud with? Is he reliable for a big monster heel push? He shouldn't return. He's not reliable. It's more than clear. They've tried to freaking pull that trigger more than once, and it hasn't happened. So I say cut the string, cut the cord, and let him seek his fortune elsewhere if he can get a job. Not a fan of Lars. Never really have been. Will we ever see a Texans versus Cowboys Super Bowl? Maybe. I'd like the Cowboys to get back to the damn Super Bowl themselves first. I don't give a shit who they play. I just want them to get back to the big game. I'm tired of sitting there in February going, is XFL started? Yes. So, I don't give a shit if they play the freaking Washington Generals. I said what I said. Manuel says, what do you think of Roman and Heyman? Love it. Love every bit of it. I'm so happy they pulled that particular trigger now. Roman needed a change-up. Paul needed a change-up because Brock didn't re-sign. And both those guys are too talented to not be on TV. And Paul's too talented not to be a mouthpiece for somebody. And Roman, yes, Roman has a strong verbal presentation, but Heyman just accentuates it perfectly. So I am in full support of Heyman and Roman being together. And you have to forgive me because I can't see and my eyes hurt now. So if you oh god, that's dirty as hell. If you guys see the glare, I'm sorry, but I can't see and my eyes are starting to strain from having to read the questions. So I apologize, but it's gonna be either you get a glare or I have eye issues. So I'll sacrifice you over me because I love me more than I love you. Except you. You're okay. All right, let's see. Who cuts for you right now the best promo, and who is your number one promo guy? Okay, the best promos right now are Paul. The all-time promo guy for me is a tie between Nate and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's always kind of a great promo. Flair's promos are ridiculous, but they're legendary. I love Rick's promos. They're awesome. If Adam Cole goes to the main roster, I think that they will put him in a new faction with AJ Styles and a returning Finn Balor to form WWE's version of Bullet Club. I hope not. Like, hasn't the Bullet Club thing been done enough? Haven't we thrown at that too sweet, enough already? Let's do something new. Right? True Marcus 1 says, your thoughts on the Aldis versus Bennett NW title match for tomorrow? I've seen people crapping on it, but for some reason, I think it could be intriguing. I cannot wait for tomorrow night's main event. I love that Mike Bennett's getting the shot. And Ken, yes, Mike Bennett is capable of pulling off and producing a great match. Mike Bennett is an amazing, underrated as talent, without question. Mike Bennett's going to give Nick Aldis the match of both their lives, I think, tomorrow night. And I am all in on the NWA pay-per-view tomorrow night. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Jake, I'm sorry, Jake. I do feel bad. The truth of the matter is we had school issues today with our young Master D, so everything got kind of pushed to the back, and I had to produce the show. So I had to trivia that. We will get trivia done this week. Send me a private message. Please don't put it here. And let me know when you're available besides today. I know Monday's your day, but there are other days, and I can get Greg involved, and we'll make it work. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's 100% my bad. I'm trying to get ALEXA over here to keep track of my schedule, and it's hard. D Ross 2 says, do you think Ted Turner will be in the WWE Hall of Fame? I doubt it. I don't know if Ted gives a shit, number one. I don't think Vince really believes Ted gives a shit. So I don't think it's gonna happen. Brendan says, thoughts on Balor versus Cole from last week? Sorry if I answered some last week. I did not address NXT last week except on the NXT show, which is on the Championship Network Anchor side, by the way, over at anchor.fm/Championship Network. We did talk about Cole and Balor on that show, so I highly encourage you to check that out over on the Anchor side of things, on the audio portions of the Championship Network, because it was a fun show. We talked almost 2 hours, and we didn't stay on topic most of the time, but it was fun. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Let's see here. Where we go? Where did we go? If booked by a third party, who wins between WWF versus WCW 1997, including all champions belts? In 1997? Probably WCW. WCW was their hottest in 1997. I thought they were the best they ever were in 97. And they had, the NWO was still cooking with nuclear heat. And everybody was on the same page. There wasn't a lot of whole bullshit going on yet. There wasn't all the infighting yet. There wasn't the split of the NWO into the Wolfpack, which was the hokiest shit ever. Everything was on cylinder. The WWF was starting to make a comeback, but they hadn't hit it yet. So I think overall WCW wins that night. Out of all the tag teams, this is from Adrian. Out of all the tag teams in the WWF during the late 80s, who were underrated in your opinion? My vote goes to the Twin Towers. Oh, goodness. The Twin Towers is definitely up there, although they were in the main event program with the Mega Powers. So, I mean, that was the means to an end. That was to get the Mega Powers to explode. So I get where you were coming from. They were not them not getting a full recognition. This is going to weird a lot of people up by me saying this. The Young Stallions, Roma and Powers. I thought those guys, if given enough time to properly mature and gel as a team, would have been gangbusters. I thought they were way underrated. Granted, Roma ended up really sucking really bad later, and Powers never got past upper jobber status. But as a team, I like the presentation of the Young Stallions. So, but the Twin Towers is definitely a good choice, without question. Manuel, another money question. Who is more money for you? Cena versus Reigns at WrestleMania or Conor McGregor versus Seth Rollins? I don't want Conor in the WWE. I don't like Conor. I think Conor's garbage. I think he crapped on the business, our business, wrestling business, and I don't like him. So my money would go to Cena versus Reigns at WrestleMania. My top 3 favorite Pixar movies from Psycho Jet Black. Wow. Okay. No particular order because I don't want to rank one of the 3 or the other. Toy Story, the original. Up is up there. Up is up there. Up is one of my 3, and Monsters Inc. I love those 3 so much. For sure. Mr. Yuck with another question says, who do you think is leader of Retribution and who do you like to see as such? I don't even want to venture a guess, and that's going to sound like a cop-out and bullshit and chicken and whatever. Fine. Put some wings and feathers on me and call me a chicken. I don't care. I don't think they know what the hell they're doing yet. I think Vince in his big chair like I got now again, I don't think he knows what Retribution is going to end up looking like when they unmask. So how am I supposed to know? Ken, I recommend for Mike Bennett, you check out his stuff in Ring of Honor and his stuff in TNA/Impact. I forget what it was called at that point. And I think he worked in Japan too. So check those out. The stuff against Taven was great. His Ring of Honor stuff, period, was really, really great. So definitely check that out. And check out the promo he cut earlier around mid-August against Aldous. Quality shit. Jake says, do you think people crap on Vince far too much? The guy's an incredible businessman and technically does what's best for business. His bank balance is exactly. Thank you. Jake with the quote of the day right there. People crap on McMahon way too much. And I said this during the NXT team show on Sunday or whatever day it was. Saturday. Friday? I don't know. Whatever the fuck day it was. Sorry, I'm gonna get fired for this. Whatever day it was. People crap on Vince way too much, and they don't give enough static to Tony Khan, to the other promoters, the other bookers. They feel they need to crap on Vince because Vince is number one, and if you're number one, there's a human inclination to bring you down and tear you down, which I think is horse shit of humanity. And I've said that many times on this show that we ought to be better about that. Ken says, if D-Ross is still in the room, I'm surprised Dick Ebersol is not in the Hall of Fame. Dick helped Vince produce that. Yeah, Dick Ebersol definitely belongs in the WWE Hall of Fame. I know Dick and Vince are friends. I know that Dick Ebersol inducted Bob Uecker in the Hall of Fame, which, that's always cool. So I would have to agree with that, Ken. Thank you. Is Jericho the best of all time? This is from Ernie Eastman. He's up there. He's in the discussion. He's definitely the most versatile, the most easily the most easily evolved character we've ever seen in wrestling, I think. That's just my personal opinion. Let's see here. Michael Gonzalez, I'll address this on another show because I want to put some thought into that. Send me that in a private message because I want to be able to take the time and look at roster of people that I would want in that match because it's a great thing. He asked who would be in your Dream Elimination Chamber match, and I love that question, but I want to give it proper thought. Follow from earlier, Cape Rayers 23 says Killer Bees. The Killer Bees are underrated too, very much so. Brian and Jim were definitely underrated. I would agree with that. Boston Punk, James Malaspino is here. He says, undercard guy you would have loved to see pull a shock job and win the world title any given era. Ooh, job guy in the slot. Okay, here comes the part where Jeff gets thrown under the bus here by his own damn self. Barry Horowitz. 95. Saying. D-Ross 2 says, did you hear the rumors for WrestleMania 20? Kurt Angle wanted to face Bret Hart, but Bret said no because he didn't feel it would have been good. I have heard that. I think Bret mentioned that in his book. If I remember, I'll have to go back and read Bret's book again and let you guys know on next week's show. But I'm pretty sure Bret mentioned that himself, that the idea was Kurt versus Bret at 20 and Bret nixed it. So, Roy Romack says, did you like Crash Holly? I love Mike, Mad Mikey. He was a guest on Extreme Mayhem. As a matter of fact, he was the last. We were his last interview. We were the last people to interview him before he passed away. Scary. That's true. We did. If I can find the archives of my files here when we move, I'll play that for you guys if I can and get away with that. Is follow up for earlier. Adrian says Power and Glory should have achieved more in WWF. Hercules power and Roma's speed and agility. Vince dropped the ball. Conrad Thompson himself on one of the podcasts, I think he was talking to Bruce Pritchard about this. That they most definitely dropped the ball with Power and Glory. I thought they were grossly underrated, and I agree with Conrad in saying that. I like Power and Glory looking back. Back then, couldn't stand them. Hated they cost the LOD the tag title shot. Wanted the LOD to destroy them, and they did. So, yeah. Again, Daniel, I'm not a fan of Retribution, the whole thing. I'm not a fan of it, so I wouldn't book it in the first place. And again, I know it's a cop-out. I know it's a lame answer, but it's my show. It's my network, so... I'm just not a fan of the story in general. If they go somewhere decent with Retribution, when the unmasking, the unveiling, whatever you call it, happens, then yeah, I'm all about it. But for right now, I think it's stupid. Really, really stupid. Let's see here. Who was the better wrestler turned announcer? JBL or Booker T? Bradshaw. Leaps and bounds better than Booker T. No disrespect to Booker. He and Brad Gilmore were tremendously gracious to me at their event 3 years ago after No Mercy with the podcast and the interviews and everything. But Booker T as a color commentator is god awful, I feel, personally. Bradshaw is one of the best I've ever seen. People can shit on John, and that's fine. I don't tend to disagree with it because he's proven he had a bully attitude. That's outside of the microphone. Behind the mic, he's one of the best analysts WWE's ever had, period. Brandon Dvorak says, my favorite ECW storyline, his is Raven versus Sandman and his son. Yeah, that was some compelling shit. I have to agree with that. I think the story with Raven and Sandman was amazing. The Raven Dreamer stuff was unbelievably good. So yeah, it's definitely Raven is up there. It's either the feud with Sandman or the feud with Dreamer. They're both great in their own way, but if I have to toss a coin, I will say Raven versus Dreamer was the best because it lasted so long and it involved so many damn people. Manuel says, which match would you love to see? CM Punk versus Kenny Omega or a nostalgia match? Hogan Austin. Without fail. That's not shitting on Punk or Omega. I wanted to see Hogan Austin 18 years ago, and it never happened, and it sucked. Let's see. How would you have booked Sid Justice to face at WrestleMania 8 if Hogan faced Flair? Savage, Taker? Okay, well, here's the thing. I believe they turned Sid heel in 1992 because they couldn't get an agreement to do Hogan versus Flair because Hogan was leaving and whatever. So I don't know if Sid would have turned heel going into WrestleMania. Now, I personally think Sid is better as a heel, if you really want to break that down. I think Sid Vicious is by and large a better heel, except when his heel breaks out of his leg when he falls, because that's just ugly, right? I'm going to hell, whatever. It is what it is. So if he's a babyface going into WrestleMania, I would say put him against a low-level heel jobber. If he's a heel going into Mania, you pull the trigger with Undertaker. Or even Randy Savage, because there was a ready-made confrontation there at the Rumble. So there's that. Psycho Jet Black says, when should Sasha Banks come back and attack Bayley? I mentioned this earlier. She's going to be on SmackDown this Friday. I hope she's not in person. Hope she's going to be a satellite. Not till Royal Rumble. Come back at the Rumble, win the Rumble, challenge Bayley at Mania. Let's see here. Michael Gonzalez says, bigger Orton dream match. Orton versus Macho Man, Orton versus Austin, Orton versus Jake the Snake. I never thought of any of those. I'll go with Austin. That's my pick there. Yeah, I did mention the head injury thing last week, and I was very impassioned about that. I didn't like the when they did it with Crash back. But again, remember, I wasn't as passionate about it back then because I really didn't understand what was happening with me back when Crash did it. I don't think Crash had even done it fuck's sake. I don't think Crash's head injury thing was after my head trauma. So it wasn't the same comparison as it was last week when I talked about it. So Dwayne says, who do you see beating Nick Aldis for the WWE Championship? Don't know. I don't think it'll be Bennett tomorrow. It'd be cool, but I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. We need to get the NWA back built up, programming going again, and see who they line up. And I'll give a better answer when that time comes, Dwayne. Thank you again for the question. Let me see. We got way backed up here. I apologize. Yeah, when we talked to Mike Crash Holly in 2003, he was in great spirits. He was enjoying his run with TNA. I didn't know he was staying with Stevie Richards. I didn't know that was a thing. So when he passed, it was scary. And we out of the blue, no friggin' idea that was even on the table, right? Besides No DQ, who's your favorite wrestling podcast show? Adfreeshows.com, Conrad's Network. Subscribe. Give him your money. Worth your time. When is next Raw Extreme? I don't know what that means. Does anything include politics? Ask Beach anything. No. Well, ask him, we'll see if I use it. How about that? You can ask anything you want. Doesn't mean I'm going to use it. But you can ask anything you want. Would WrestleMania 11 been better without LT versus Bam Bam? Um, I the card itself was pretty weak overall, right? It wasn't a good show. And I think the main event suffered from the involvement with Sid and the whole thing with the referees. So it's hard to say, but I don't feel it would have been any better or worse. Let's see here. If Jesse Ventura got the Green Party nomination, would he become president? That's a good question. I have said many times in the last, I'll say 20 years, because I'll even concede the Gore Bush thing. Our system of politics is severely broken. We rely too far too much on the two-party and don't vote with who we feel is right. We feel with, well, we're aligned with this party, but this guy we think, so we're just going to pick one or the other. If America as a whole would realize that you can vote for option C, option D, option Q, whatever, we'd be better off. So Aaron, I don't think has voted for Republican or Democrat in years. And I admire his pluckiness for that. I really do. As far as Jesse goes, I would have voted for Jesse. I like Jesse's politics for the most part. There's some things I don't agree with him on, but I'm not going to get into the weeds. I feel that he could have got enough of a groundswell to make it happen. I really do. Colin with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Cleaver. Support the Championship Network and get Cherry for Quizzlemania. That's right. Hashtag Cherry for Quizzlemania. I need to put that banner up. I think Greg left it in here for me. He did. Good job, Greg. There you go. There it is. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Colin, for reminding me. Cherry for Quizzlemania all day, brother. We need to get him on that show. Without question. I think here I am. Brian Watts says, Merry Christmas, everyone. I actually was playing Christmas music earlier. I love Christmas. Love it. I am a fan, but okay, wait, that's not for me. How would you book Sting versus Undertaker in your prime? I would book The Undertaker to go over, and I would have booked spectacular entrances when they both did. I would have Sting rappel out of the ceiling. I know it's not Kosher with Owen Hart thing happening, but this is fantasy booking here, so bear with me. I would have Sting rappel out of the ceiling. I would have Undertaker come up out of a lift like he did at WrestleMania 25, and I would have had both of them get all their shit in, and I would have put it in a gimmick match, and I would have Undertaker go over Sting. What is your favorite tag team of all? Mine is LOD. This is from Brendan Crabtree. My favorite tag team of all time, honestly, Brendan, if I look back at my entire history of being a fan, that's also my answer. The Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal. I love Hawk and Animal. We were this close. See how close it is? This close to having Animal on our old show after Hawk passed, and just didn't work out. He was watching his boy play football, and he didn't want to break away from the television, so it kind of didn't work out, unfortunately. Adrian says, Steve Blackman or Ken Shamrock, who could have achieved more during the Attitude Era? For me, Blackman was a legit badass. I think they're both legit badasses, personally. I would not screw with either one of those guys. Having seen the multifaceted approach to Ken Shamrock in his career, I will say Ken Shamrock. If they let him be more than just a kind of a dummy badass, honestly, he kind of came off pretty stupid at times. If they'd have let him be who he's been in Impact with the same badass attitude he retained in his youthful days, Ken Shamrock all the way. Let's see. Do you listen to watch? I don't watch Culture. Listen to them. Watch What Culture? Not my bag. I remember a long time ago in a video, you said you shouldn't trust what comes out of Conan's mouth. Why do you believe this? I don't remember saying that. I know that I have been told by multiple sources, friends and coworkers over the years, that Conan looks out for Conan and will say whatever he has to say to get Conan's agenda furthered. I don't know if that's true myself. Don't recall directly saying what you said, Psycho Jet Black. If I did, I apologize to Conan. I don't recall saying it. So if I did, my bad. But from what I've been told, again, this rumor and innuendo from other people that I've spoken with, he can't be trusted. So, and maybe he's changed. I don't know. What do I think of Vader versus Sting matches from Manuel? I love Vader versus Sting. They were talking about this in 8th Year Big Show today. Vader and Sting at Fall Brawl 94. I don't think Vader and Sting had a bad match, honestly. Those two guys were magic when they touched. And if you go back and read Sting's thoughts when Leon passed, there was much more of a kinship there than simply in the ring communication. I think they were both they were closer than on TV. Why haven't we seen this from Brian Watts? Why haven't we seen Lesnar versus Lashley or Cesaro or Sheamus yet? Because Vince doesn't want to put Lashley or Cesaro or Sheamus against Brock Lesnar, which I don't understand. But he hasn't. I don't know why, but he hasn't. He does, Ken. Cherry hates politics. Hates talking about it. Hates when he and I get into discussions on it because we are polar opposites when it comes to discussing. Mike Gonzalez says, speaking of Jesse Ventura from before, in my opinion, him and Vince McMahon are the most underrated announcer duo. Yeah, they're underrated. I thought they were great together. Which is better, Money in the Bank match or a Feast or Fire? Money in the Bank by a country mile. I think Feast or Fire is effing stupid. Never liked that concept, ever. I've looked into doing a Patreon, Jake. I'm thinking about when the new year hits, doing just that and having bonus content. So we'll see. Wrestling questions from Oh My God Ruler. Well, angle that made you almost stop wrestling, watch wrestling together. Wow. Okay. There hasn't been a whole lot because I kind of just go with the flow on a lot of things. Katie Vick was close. And I look back now and I go, if I had stopped watching when Katie Vick happened, I wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't be sitting here doing this with you guys right now. Isn't that scary? Because Katie Vick was before the initial episode of Extreme Mayhem. So that's scary, but it's true. I wouldn't have. What TNA gimmick? This is from the Cool Brothers. The Cool Brothers Radio podcast is sending in a question. I love those guys. What TNA wrestlers' gimmicks would have made it in the WWE? My pick is Beer Money. Agreed. Beer Money was money. All over it. Tracy Brooks also. If they'd actually freaking done anything with Gail Kim, money on her as well. There's a lot of TNA gimmicks that work well in WWE, I think. But they just refuse to keep them intact. Brendan says, would you ever do an off-topic episode of Nightmare on Elm Street? I'm actually doing an off-topic episode on Halloween. I think we're going to do it on Halloween. I don't know if we're going to record Halloween, but I'm hoping I can get the panel together for a recording. We're going to talk about the entire 11 going on 12 movie. It'll be 13 at the end of the trilogy. Halloween saga, including 3. God help me. So yes, there will be a point at some point in time where we talk about Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger and Charles Lee Ray and all those guys, because I love me the slasher movies, especially those 4. So we will talk about those, Brendan. Yes. Manuel says, did Sean Waltman make a bigger impact in NWO or in DX, in your opinion? DX. Sean Waltman was a huge part of the initial success of the NWO. Him and Scott Kevin were the nucleus. They were the Wolf Pack originally, right? But when he jumped ship and returned to the WWF in 1998 and joined DX with Hunter, and they evolved into the DX Army with the Outlaws in China, frick me, man. DX was unstoppable. And Sean was a huge part of that. No question about that. What wrestling this is from D Ross 2. What wrestling theme song would you listen to for the rest of your life? Real American, brother. All day long. On repeat. James Vasquez, I want to lay out a scenario. First ever non-title WTC match. Me versus Cherry. All questions are related to events at the Boston Garden or performers from Massachusetts. Yay or nay? That's a huge nay. And I'll tell you why. Because Greg would shit on it. Without fail, there's no way Greg is going for that. He is not going to agree to a Boston-centric trivia match. No way. No way, no how. And I wouldn't host it. Not a fan of Boston sports. I know, James, I love you. You're a great fan of the show. You helped establish NerdDQ.com Instagram, and I love you for that. But no way. No friggin' way. Damn, these things keep jumping. I hate to jump so much. I need to get caught up. That's what I need to do. D. Ross, my favorite classic pay-per-view theme between the Rumble, Mania, Survivor Series, and King of the Ring is definitely WrestleMania. SummerSlam 91 is up there on my favorites though because of it was my first show that I bought on Coliseum Video. I love the theme. I actually used it earlier this year if you were paying attention. Michael Gonzalez, the best Money in the Bank match was definitely the first one. Without question. Dwayne says, who would win in the beard shot contest? Stone Cold Steve Austin, JBL, James Storm, or Eric Young? Probably James Storm, I would guess. Brian Watts with a very interesting question. Would it accomplish anything if all WWE wrestlers go on strike about the unfairness and having to walk on eggshells all the time? I really wish WWE would let these people bring out their potential. Again, this is going to sound like me towing a corporate line. I don't mean it to sound that way because I don't work for Vince McMahon. I never have. Definitely never will for reasons that I can't explain. I think the narrative we get through the dirt sheets and through other websites and whatnot is often exaggerated. I feel that if people didn't want to stay there, they wouldn't stay. And they would go to Impact or AEW or Ring of Honor or the NWA or anywhere else. And I feel that they complain. If they're going to complain at work, then they're not going to be happy. So they need to go apply their trade elsewhere. And that's a lot of reason why I honestly have walked away a couple times from NoDQ and from my own stuff because I wasn't happy and just not interested in sticking around. And I tried my own thing. Didn't work for a long time. It is now. It has this year, and I'm grateful. But gotta be realistic. So let's see. If you're gonna lose to Cherry James, it won't be the Eagles. It'll definitely be the Steelers because he hates the Eagles too, and so do I. Let's see here. Just reading here. Sorry, guys. If you're on Anchor, you're hearing dead air. Sorry about that. Manuel says, Manuel, which of these three superstars would you like to interview if you could? The Rock, Hogan, or Vince? Hulk. I have tried to get Hulk on my show for 17 of my 18 years. I'm still working on it. So stay tuned. It may happen one day. Which chamber match was better? Elimination chamber match was better. Survivor Series or SummerSlam? Survivor Series 2002, without question. Other than Hunter getting hurt, that was still the best chamber match I saw. Johnny Boy says, was the Miz Daniel Bryan the disappointing payoff to their awesome Talking Smack promo? Yes, they could have gone so much farther with that, I feel, and they didn't. And it was a shame. Honest to God, it was. It was a bummer. They had a match Super Showdown, they had a match SummerSlam, and then he and Miz and Maurice faced Bryan and Brie, and they could have paid that off, I think, a few different ways, and just didn't work out, unfortunately. Psycho Jet Black says, should Ring of Honor get rid of Marty Scurll and try to rebuild their company? Again, I don't know all the inner workings of the Marty Scurll situation. I know they paid him an exorbitant amount of money to take over the book, so I don't know where the makeup in his contract is such that he can be bought out or removed or whatever. So hard to say. Do you think it's said that Vince and WWE keeps releasing a lot of backstage employees and performers? It's depressing, man. Again, it's a business. It's a business. And if a contracted or independent contracted talent is not making the money that they feel is not making enough of a return on their investment, they have to go another way. It's just simple as that. That's capitalistic corporate business. So Michael says, what was the best year of The Rock's career? In my opinion, even though it was short, I thought Hollywood Rock in 03 was his best work. I love the theme song from 2003 for sure. Amazing theme song. And we'll get to that in a couple weeks on The Dad's Not Always on Wrestling, although that's a wrestling show. So stay tuned for that. But his best work, I feel, was in 1999 and 2000. Let's see. Cool Brother says, do you think the WWE would benefit from having a Legends title or a Legends Royal Rumble? No, I don't. As a matter of fact, Cool Brothers, I very much disagree with the idea of bringing Legends back and making them, putting them on TV and putting them over, only because it encourages the idea that they can still have a long-term run, and a lot of them can't. And I think it's a bad precedent and example to set. So, yeah. Adrian says, was Tatanka over or underutilized during his first WWF run? I would say under. I thought he had a great thing going with the undefeated streak, and they had that joke of a gimmick. Ludwig Borga beat him, and then he kind of went, and then he turned heel and joined DiBiase, which worked for a while, and then they put him with Bam Bam, and then Bam Bam faced LT, and Tatanka got lost in the shuffle. It just didn't work. Didn't think. Underutilized and underappreciated for sure, I feel. Do you think The Miz should have another world title run since his last was all about The Rock and Cena? Yes, I do. I think Mike Mizanin definitely deserves another run with the big championship. I firmly believe he deserves that at least once more before he calls it a day. He definitely earned that right. Johnny Boy, I mentioned this earlier, but I'll rehash it here. Do you think Sasha and Bayley should fight in the Cell or Dragon WrestleMania? WrestleMania. Sasha and Bayley should face at WrestleMania. Let's see. We will do one more. And we'll go with this one. Brian Watt says, how would you book a prime match between Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Goldberg? Stunner after stunner after stunner after stunner. Stun that big goof all the way back to Atlanta and make him stay there. Yeesh. Go away, Goldberg, forever. Again, cherry for Quizlemania. Get that hashtag out there in the Twitterverse and across social media. Make it happen. We want to get Cherry on Quizlemania. And if Cherry gets on Quizlemania before the season finale of the NerdQ.com Mystery Challenge in November, then David Diaz gets his long-awaited opportunity against Greg Cherry for the NerdQ Championship. So if you put this hashtag out there, you're helping several people, not just Greg. So keep that in mind. We are at an hour. I appreciate it very much, guys. I love this Q&A with you guys each and every Monday. Again, tomorrow at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, we will be live with Stat Boys Sports Bar, which will feature our boy Mikey's Week 1 NFL review. And then immediately following the NWA UWN Primetime Live here on the Championship Network will be an exclusive recap and review of the first pay-per-view of the new NWA era. Wink, wink, and do on the new. Thank you guys for watching. Again, it's greatly appreciated. We will see you guys after Raw tonight for the No DQ recap with Aaron. Until then, we will see you guys right here next time on the Championship Network.